welcome back to the Startup Shortlist. This week we've got an amazing founder, co-founder and CEO of a company called Humaneer. Rather than me doing an introduction, I'm going to hand it over to her. Careen, who are you? And tell us a bit more about yourself.
So I'm Careen, co-founder and CEO at Humaneer. My background is 20 plus years in the HR space, working with startups and scale-ups, predominantly in tech and deep tech. We founded Humaneer because we decided to solve a problem that we saw in every business that I worked in, which was teams and founders and HR people navigating really complex HR legislation and people problems. And so we decided to build the solution we wish we'd always had and democratize HR.
You've worked inside some seriously fast scaling tech companies. What did that teach you that you couldn't have learned anywhere else?
Scale amplifies everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. What works at 20 people doesn't work at 100 people. And so if you have got strengths in the business, they will be amplified as you scale. If you've got challenges, they will be amplified as well. People in a startup, they're having lunch with the founders, they're involved in most decisions, they have input into things. As you start to scale, that becomes more removed. Managing that growth and expectation of some of the founding members of the team is actually quite critical for scale.
After 20 years sitting inside a startup as the people person,
Yeah.
what's the most common mistake you saw founders make when it came to their people and culture?
One of the biggest mistakes that I've seen is thinking that things are performance issues when they're not. So usually a performance issue has a root cause, and that might be clarity around expectations. It may be communication. It may be priorities constantly shifting. That's the key one, is thinking things are performance issues when actually it's probably more of an org design thing.
What's kind of the minimum viable people infrastructure a 10-person startup needs? Why can't you skip it?
10 people, it's not as high touch as 10,000. I would say get the basics right. So clarity around what people have to do, what their role is, etc. Accountability, who owns what, where are decisions made, communication, how are you going to communicate, how are you going to give feedback as an organization, and also what your values are. I think if you've got those things in place, you can pretty much roll easily. Obviously, you've got the compliance part in the background, which is your policies, etc. But those are the key things I'd focus on.
A lot of founders think culture just happens. When does it need to become intentional?
Culture will start happening the minute you have two people working together. Whether you are intentional about it or not, your culture is being formed. One of the biggest pieces I would say for founders is check your own behavior, because your behavior will be replicated and amplified throughout the organization. So if you want to be really intentional about culture from day one, behave the way you want your culture to behave when you're not in the room.
You've talked about the difference between culture fit and culture add. What does that actually mean when you're in a, say, team of five?
So if you're in a team of five and you're hiring for culture fit, you're hiring people that think the same, look the same, have the same backgrounds. That's never going to be exceptional. It's just going to be same. If you hire for culture add, you are looking at your capabilities and what's missing, and that diversity of opinion and experience. You actually create greatness instead of sameness. So I would always go for culture add over culture fit.
What's the one thing a founder can do right now, today, that would meaningfully improve how their team operates?
It's probably around what you're measuring. So most of the time when I go into a startup environment, they're measuring headcount, retention, attrition, perhaps engagement surveys, etc. But actually, the number one thing I would do is go to your team today and say, what stops you doing your best work in this company? Where is that friction? And work on that.
AI is changing HR fast. What should founders be using it for, and where should they still be doing the human work?
The first thing that founders should be doing is identifying the actual problem they're trying to solve before they start thinking about where they should be using AI. If you understand what you're trying to solve, you can work out whether it is a process problem, a people problem, a performance problem, a clarity problem, or a workflow problem. And only then you can decide, actually, is AI the right tool to solve that problem? AI is one fantastic one, but I would say you maybe don't have to use it for everything.
What does the world look like if Humaneer is successful? What changes for founders and HR teams?
It means that HR is democratized. Every founder has access on day one of starting their company to quality HR materials so that they have that confidence and clarity to build their companies.
Thank you so much for your time, Kareen. It's been lovely speaking to you.
Thank you.